Salutations, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Today I shall show you the motions that I go through in order to obtain my daily bread.
Hey yo, what up my little G? You looking fine my little G? All these cats out here on these streets ain't as cute as you my little G.
And this is my assistant. Her name is Wife. And every day she, or at least we try to every day, where she cuts some carrots for me, juices them, and that's how I get my nutrients. Because the fruit makes you broke here in France, if you buy it all the time. 16.5 degrees inside, the chill factor is increasing. It's 0 degrees now, but it looks like the max temperature in the day is going to be 6, so at least my balls won't freeze, and then it drops down to 2 in the evening. Carrot juice is looking good.
The only reason I work is so that you and you can have unlimited kibble supply.
Thanks for the hot carrot drink. This is intense, I've got to focus.
Since I got this bike, I've probably done a good 10,000 kilometers on it, and I haven't really needed to change anything except the tires. Now the tires are pretty good, the tri-band tires, quite durable, cost me 13 euros a tire, and I've got a good 5,000-6,000 kilometers on the rear tire, and even though the tread is gone, still haven't punctured at all, so I rate them. Good tires from Decathlon.
Chana, this is how I learn French. I just pump those bangers. Lekker.
C'est pas ma faute, et quand je donne ma langue au chat, je vois les autres. Tout près se jeter sur moi, c'est pas ma faute à moi. Si j'entends tout autour de moi, hello Elita, moi Lolita.
I'm not so good at eating a lot of calories for breakfast, so I've come up with this peasant power mix. I chuck a third of a 500 gram pack of oats and a third of a 1 kilo sugar. It's about 2,000 calories, and then I just add a cup of soy milk after it's cooked.
The 2,000 calorie peasant pot is ready.
The commute has begun. It's time to have some fun. Oh shit, there's no sun, but in my bag there's a bun to crunch for lunch. I got a little hunch that today is the day to make some decent pay. Right the fuck away. That's all I gotta say. Hey.
So this is me on my way to work and back for a 10-hour Uber Eats shift. I usually leave home at 10:50 in the morning, and then I come back at 10:30 at night. So it's 11 hours and 40 minutes out there, roughly. And the commute takes me 1 hour and 40. And I think without the Uber backpack, it would take me 20 minutes less. So 1 hour and 20 with the same amount of effort. That's how much of a difference the Uber bag makes to your aerodynamics. When I filmed this video, it was on a Friday. So for me, in the last couple of weeks, Friday has been one of the best days of the week. And I will show you in the video how much I made, but I don't want to spoil it. So just keep watching till the end. I'll show you how I performed after the day was over. And you can see here that Pauline is following me on her bike. This is the nice little bike path that goes into Colmar. There's a few ways that you can go into Colmar. This is just one of 3 or 4. And I prefer this way. It's usually I get orders coming from this direction as I come in. Well, not usually, but sometimes I do. And it just helps to save a little bit of time so you can get started a little bit before 11:30. You may also have noticed the giant pannier bag that I have on my bike, and that's for carrying things like food, spare tubes, tire levers, etc. And it's actually a little bit stuffed in this video because I took an extra jacket for Pauline, and that thing was fattening up my bag. I removed the sound from the original clip because you couldn't really hear what I was saying, but this was the first order of the day. €7.10 for 5.7 kilometers, and I declined it. One thing that I've considered a lot before starting this job and while doing it is the morality of it all. As you guys know, animal products are extremely immoral because to obtain them requires that all of the 7 deadly sins be committed. And I'm talking about the true 7 deadly sins, not the false ones that you read in your little Bible. These are murder, assault, rape, trespass, theft, coercion, and deception. Once you see the videos, the reality of what happens to these animals, you're either going to be a complacent fuck and just keep doing what you've always done and not care, the total immolation of care, total apathy, and there's a lot of people like that who just watch these videos and remain heartless. I don't know what to say for these people other than they're bad people. If you can watch those videos and not give a fuck, you're a bad person. And you need to do some serious shadow work so you can unfuck yourself. You've been seriously fucked up in your head if you can watch these things and not care. For the rest of us who do have some empathy left, who do have some compassion, we watch these videos in horror and shock, and we immediately want to make a change. And it's hard when you know the reality of the animal products and you just see people not caring at all about it. And you also know how dangerous these products are to people's health. And you have to shut the fuck up when you deliver these products to people. Otherwise, you're not going to have a job for very long. So even though I am not involved in these diabolical atrocities against my animal brothers and sisters directly, I am still indirectly profiting from the animal slavery industry. And I know that I am participating in wrong livelihood. And I don't want to participate in wrong livelihood. I'm just doing this shit so that I can survive. And I'm well aware that I can do other jobs to survive. It's just the whole working 9 to 5 for the whole year, only getting 3 weeks of vacation thing has never really appealed to me. And I'm aware that I'm being a selfish motherfucker by thinking that way. And in effect, it means that I don't really care so much about my animal brothers and sisters. And I know it's wrong. And I'm calling myself out. I am wrong, I was wrong, and I must work on myself to stop being in the wrong and be in the right. The more that you endeavor to be in the right in Satan's kingdom, the more you're going to get resistance and the more you're going to struggle. That's just unfortunately how sick our society has become. So when I'm talking about Satan in Satan's kingdom, I'm referring to the force of involution. A force that stifles consciousness, makes consciousness regress, people become more immoral, society becomes more chaotic, more crazy, more insane, and we just commit more and more atrocities. That's involution. And evolution is its opposite, which is part of the reason why I'm making these videos. I want society to evolve. I want us to become more moral. I want us to become better. I want us to improve. And I don't want this world to stay a shithole like it currently is. I realize that I'm deviating quite a lot from the main topic at hand, which is the job. But it's important that I put these messages of truth in here because I want people to think about the important shit that needs to be thought about. When I started out with Uber Eats, I would move around from restaurant to restaurant and camp there for 5 to 10 minutes at a time. That was a really inefficient way of doing things. So more recently, I've come to this spot. It's a nice little chill spot with minimal people, minimal noise, and I found it to be the best spot to stay in Colmar, and it works pretty well. So the audio again was bad on the camera, but it was a €8 order for 9.2 kilometers. And again, I cancel that because it's going to take you about an hour to complete an €8 order. And at that point, you're just earning far less than minimum wage. And it's not worth it. Another thing to consider is that people don't really tip here in France. And as many delivery riders have said throughout the world, they depend on their tips in order to at least make minimum wage. So that's also another reason why I struggle to earn a decent amount of money doing this job. And here you can see it's a €4.70 order for a double. And I took it because it was only about 2 kilometers. And now I head off to Chama's Tacos to go pick up the stuff. Something else that I can talk about is a regular day for me is about €100 if it's going fairly well. And as of late, I haven't even been making that. In order to make minimum wage, I need to earn €119 for a full day. So It's well below a minimum wage job. And I've just been tolerating it for so long because it's something that I enjoy. I mean, riding a bike is something that I would gladly do for free. But it's also hard. These winters get really cold, and especially when you're not moving for long periods between jobs, it can get really cold there on the bench when it's less than 5 degrees that day. So a typical day's orders is usually about 25 trips, 25 orders, and it equates to about 120 to 130 kilometers. So if I'm doing this 5 days a week, that works out to at least 600 kilometers per week. Another issue that I face in this job is long wait times at restaurants, especially on Saturdays, and that can really make a huge dent in your earnings. And I've thought about it a couple of times. If I didn't have to wait so long at restaurants, I could have easily made 100 euros in one day instead of 70. And that's how much the waiting times at the restaurants can tank your earnings. 30% of your earnings gone just by waiting at restaurant to restaurant. And on top of that, government wants to increase income tax by 5%. And on top of that, give you some bullshit professional tax, which is another 150 euros every year. So they just really want to destroy any freedom that people might have with a small business venture. And it's sickening. It really fucking boils my blood. And it's not just this industry. Poor Pauline is coerced to pay more income tax too, and she's earning less than ever before because her job is going obsolete with AI taking over. While I'm talking about waiting, there can sometimes also be waiting on the customer's end when you arrive to their apartment. But luckily, Uber gives you an 8-minute timer. So if you've contacted the customer and they still haven't come out after 8 minutes, you can just leave the package there, take a photo, and be on your merry way. I want to cover as much as possible in this video because this is going to be my last Uber vlog, and I have decided to quit. Since this video, this was on Friday, on the Wednesday, I was sitting around for 5 hours and I only made 5 euros an hour. And that just pushed me over the edge. And I decided I quit. I've had enough. I'm just going to find some normal job. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. But anything is better than struggling with this shit kicker job, being punished so much by taxes and earning less than minimum wage. And you can see the anxiety in my body language. I just want to rush all the fucking time. And that's what this job is. It's a constant fucking race because you get anxiety from waiting so long and not being able to earn enough. It's frustrating. And I don't want to continue living this way because you're constantly in that reptile brain just fighting for survival. And I'm sick of fighting for survival. I want to be able to chill a little bit more. Another thing that I'm glad about that I get to avoid this year is the Marché de Noël, or the Christmas market. And that's a market that happens every year. People are fucking obsessed with Christmas here in Alsace in particular. And for 5 weeks, they're already celebrating before Christmas has even fucking begun. So the city center is flooded with people and you can't get through. And I'm so glad I'm skipping that bullshit. I know I'm complaining a lot and it's not always good to complain so much, but I need to show you guys the reality of my life and not just be a toxic positivist and just focus on all the good stuff and ignore the negative, because ignoring the negative is really going to get you into trouble in life, because the negative is what gives you the motivation to change and make things better in your life. Another thing I can talk about is the best earnings and the worst earnings that I've had in a 10-hour workday. So the best I've had was during Christmas time last year, and that was 170 euros. It was really an exceptional day. I did 32 trips that day, so I was just moving around the whole fucking day. And the worst that I've had was actually quite recently, 72 euros in a day. And I really felt quite demotivated after that. And of course, there have been somewhat worse days than that, where I would earn 5 euros per hour, and I would just go home early on those days because I'd rather be at home in the comfort of my living room, chilling with the cats, playing a video game, than just fucking getting called for almost no reward or benefit whatsoever. I can't say that I'm really looking forward to working 48 weeks out of the year, but at least the time that I spend at work will be a lot less than this. I mean, if I'm just riding my bike 2Ks and back to work, it's a lot better than this, which takes 11 hours and 40 of my day, versus a regular job which will take just over 7. In France, the regular work day is 7 hours per day. And of course, I'll also get to go to bed at a reasonable hour. Currently, with this Uber job, I've been going to bed at least 11:30 at night, because after you come home it's 10:30, you have to shower, you have to eat something, and only then can you go to bed. So that's really, those late nights really add up, and you're sacrificing your health for not much return at all. So at least I can get to bed at 9 o'clock at a normal hour again, and that's going to feel fantastic. And now for the positives about this job, and that's actually what kept me going for 2 years almost. The positives are you get to ride a bike for a living. Who doesn't want to do that? Who's into the high carb vegan fitness lifestyle? Another positive is being able to work whenever you want. So you can go, like I did this year, 6 months without working, and then just log back onto the app and start working again. And the third positive is you are your own boss, so you don't have to follow orders. Well, in a way you have to follow the orders, but you know what I mean. You don't have to you don't have to have orders barked at you from someone who's considered your superior in the hierarchical corporate chain. And you can see that here this guy is entering the PIN. Sometimes the customers like to do that, so I just let them have at it. Another couple of statistics I can talk about is the satisfaction rating that I've received and the amount of orders I've done since I started the job. So it's been nearly 3,000 orders for me, 2,850 to be exact. And in that time, I've actually had to get a second Uber bag, because I think the first one I handled a little bit roughly. So the little teeth of the zip started to break. So I needed to get a new bag after about 1,900 deliveries. And the satisfaction rating that I've achieved is 99%. So thanks, Mom, for teaching me how to be a perfect people pleaser, or almost. So the next skill that I need to learn in my life is how to get really good at offending people. That's something that I struggle with in person, and I really want to get better at that. To offend people, you simply got to tell them the truth about their bad habits. I've also grown rather resentful of smokers while doing this job, because often you won't see when a motherfucker is holding a cigarette there on the sly, and then you have to breathe in that toxic shit when you ride past, and sometimes they'll even come light up next to you when you're trying to catch a nap between jobs on the bench. So smokers, they're fucking assholes, and I don't feel any sympathy for them. One day I was just so fed up of all the cigarette smoke, and there was a lady outside the restaurant that I came out of. She was just there by the entrance, and my bike was just there by the entrance, and I was having to breathe in the shit while putting the package in the bag and putting the bag on my back. I couldn't hold my breath for long enough to not breathe in that shit, and I was trying to just tell this lady to smoke somewhere else so that I don't have to breathe in this shit, and her answer to me was she doesn't care. She told me straight, she doesn't care. So yeah, I don't care either. Karma is a beautiful thing when these people die a painful, slow death. I almost forgot to film the bread and beans, so that's why there's only half a bread left. But it's about 1,300 calories for lunch, and yeah, that's the second meal of the day that I usually eat. Good shit. Okay, the evening has begun, so I'm gonna try to film one more trip for the evening run. Let's see how it goes. Right, this is a small one from the sushi place. I'm gonna take it. The camera died on the last trip before I could finish it, but I did manage to get a little bit of footage. And I also made an attempt to film myself going inside the restaurant, so you can catch the vibe a little bit. I like the sushi restaurant's vibe. It looks nice inside, so I thought, why not? Just film it, get it on the record to have some memories one day when you look back at this vlog. Of course, all of the brilliant lighting and comfy, cozy shit is a facade. when you understand the reality of what happens to marine animals. Fish suffer probably even more than other animals do. And I actually remember that scene from the film Earthlings when Joaquin Phoenix talked about how fish are even more sensitive than other animals. I actually just had some vegan salmon today from the Edeka. It's a supermarket chain in Germany. And it tasted so fucking good, just as good as it used to taste back in the day. So there's really no excuse that people have to continue this barbarous lifestyle of eating animals and their products. And I'll admit, I haven't been a great animal liberation activist since going vegan back in 2011. I've done a piss poor job. So in order to assuage some of the guilt that I feel for not living up to the moral obligation of speaking out to liberate all sentient beings, I donate some money to the makers of Christspiracy and to other animal activists, just to help in an ancillary capacity at least. So if you've made it this far in the vlog and you haven't gotten sick of my monologue, thanks, I appreciate you, and I'm going to show you the stats now for what I earned on this day, and also how many calories I ate or how much calories I eat on a typical day to actually do this job, because it does take a little bit of extra fuel, as you can imagine. I forgot to film dinner, but it was the vegan fettuccine Alfredo recipe that I've shown before on this channel. Calories for the day, 4,700. So that's also another expense that one incurs when you do such a physical job like this. It's 2,000 more than I usually eat if I'm not riding so much. And here you can see the stats for yourself: 94.88 for 10 hours of work, and a whopping €4 tip. Retirement in the post.